everyone. It's time for another Frank White Friday. I have been giving quite a lot of thought to the question of how do advocates of large-scale space migration, like myself and probably you, how do we talk to people who are just totally opposed to the whole idea, to put it simply? Well, I believe we've done a pretty good job in the last year or so with my friends and colleagues at honing an argument that having people in industry move off of the Earth would benefit the Earth environmentally because we would reduce the strain on the planet's carrying capacity. We're still working on that, but something else has occurred to me, and it's based on something I read in National Geographic Online some time ago, and it's this idea that 20% of any human population will have what is called the exploration gene. And the whole idea of that is that, yes, it is in our DNA to explore, but not in everyone's DNA, and that's okay. It's also the case that this gene does not necessarily predispose you to space migration. It means that you want to explore. You might become a research scientist. You might become a race car driver. You're just probably not going to skate in your own lane, as they say. You might become addicted to drugs because that's part of it. It's really risk taking that this particular grouping has. However, if you think about it in broad terms, there are maybe 8.6 billion people on planet Earth, and it's headed toward 10. But just to keep it at round numbers, let's say we had 10 billion people on the planet at some point. Well, 20% of those are going to have the gene. So that's 2 billion. And 20% of those, well, you do the math. Because, you know, it's going to be a large number of people, and they're just going to be inclined to go. You might be opposed to it as someone who thinks we should just stay here and put all our resources into quote unquote solving Earth's problems. Actually, the Earth doesn't have any problems. It's really solving human problems. But leave that aside. People are going to go. The question is how soon and how many? Well, how does that benefit the Earth? Well, first of all, most of the people I know who want to go don't feel like they're abandoning the Earth. They think it will help in various ways. On the other hand, it's also going to include people who are assertive, aggressive, actually people who disturb the status quo. And for some people who prefer to stay here, that's going to be a relief. It's going to be kind of like when your noisy neighbors move to another city. And I hadn't really given this much thought in the past, but if you look at human history, it's very obvious that initially the adventurous people go first. And sometimes that's terrible for where they go. I mean, certainly the whole colonial period was an example of that. And so for those who want to understand, well, I don't want to go into outer space, why would it benefit me? There are so many answers that it's remarkable we haven't convinced them yet. But I would like to talk with some people who just don't get it and try this one out on them. Think about it yourself. And there are a few takeaways here. One is it's going to happen because of this exploration gene. The other is it could be quite beneficial in some ways in creating greater stability and even peace on the Earth. But we need to do a lot more research on this, and I'm not saying that's the final answer, but give it some thought. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Thanks a lot.